Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kapijana Vallabha Girivaradare. Kapijana Vallabha Girivaradare. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tihira Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Vishpad Paramahamsa Parivarikacharya Stotra Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace Ace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj srimadbhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories of the assembled devotees, all glories of the assembled devotees, all glories of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna. So this morning we were reading from Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 17, Maharaj Pritha becomes angry at the earth, Text 30. Hare Krishna. And everyone has their devices. I didn't sing to end with, I sang Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, and I didn't sing it the last 2 times. Oh, I mean, the last, right now. I usually sing it 3 times at the end, I just sing it once. I guess that makes a difference. Everything makes a difference, right? Do you think you could grab that car and put it on there, please?
Yeah, sure.
She can't hear it because the way I speak? I don't speak loud enough? Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, but you can't blast it out for real.
Yeah, she has hearing aid. Okay. Yenaham atma yatam. What's the meter? What? Sorry, the one down there.
Where's the other one? Oh, down there? Sorry about that.
I say sorry to Prabhupada. So what's the meter for this, Trivita Prabhu? Thank you. Yanaham atma yatanam vinirmata Datra yato yam gunasarga sangaha Sa eva mam hantumadayuda suran Upastito nyam sharanam kam ashaye Yenaham atmayatanam vimirnita Datra yato yam gunasarga sangaha Sa eva mam hantumaduyada swaran Pastito nyam sharanam kam ashaye Seva mam hantamadaya daswaran Upastitun yam sharanam kamashe Inaham atmayatamam nirmita Alright. Word to word translation. Yena. By whom? Aham. I. Atma ayatanam. Resting place of all living entities. Vinirmata was created. Datra by the Supreme Lord. Yataha on account of whom? Ayam this Gunasarga Sangraha combination of different material elements. Shaha he Eva certainly Mam me Hantum to kill Aduyada prepared with weapons. Surat completely independent. Pastataha now present before me. Anyam other. Sharanam shelter. Come unto whom? Ashaye I shall resort to. Purport. planet Earth herein translation. The planet Earth continued, "My dear Lord, you are the complete conductor of the material creation. You have created this cosmic manifestation and the three material qualities, and therefore you have created me, the planet Earth, the resting place of all living entities. Yet you are always fully independent, my Lord. Now that you are present before me and ready to kill me with your weapons, let me know where I should go to take shelter, and tell me who can give me protection." Purport. The planet Earth herein exhibits the symptoms of full surrender before the Lord. As stated, no one can protect the person whom Krishna is prepared to kill, and no one can kill the person whom Krishna protects. Because the Lord was prepared to kill the planet Earth, there was no one to give protection to her. We are all receiving protection from the Lord, and it is therefore proper that every one of us surrender unto Him. In Bhagavad Gita 18:66, the Lord instructs, "Sarvadharman pratyajya mamekam sharanam vraja ham tam savapapebhyo mokshishmamavasucha." Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, "My dear Lord, whatever I have, even my mind, the center of all material necessities, namely my home, my body, and whatever I have in connection with this body, I now surrender unto you. You are now completely independent to act however you like. If you like, you can kill me, and if you like, you can save me. In any case, I am your eternal servant, and you have every right to do whatever you like." Om Jnanatimirandasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Vadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mikam Karitavachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yakabutamaham Vande Shri Gurun Diditaranam Vanchakapladubhishta Kipasindavevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Here, you think you can get that table with the cloth on it, please? Yeah. And put it right here. So I'll read the translation. The planet Earth continued, "My dear Lord, you are the complete conductor of the material creation. You have created this cosmic manifestation and the three material qualities, and therefore you have created me, the planet Earth, the resting place of all living entities. Yet you are always fully independent, my Lord. Now that you are present before me and ready to kill me with your weapons, let me know where I should go to take shelter, and tell me who can give me protection." So, one of Srila Prabhupada's most quoted shlokas in his preaching throughout the world, throughout this world, is Sarvadhamam Pratyajya Mamekam. Is this like Sarvadhamam Pratyajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja? Is this what on the list he quoted this the most quoted besides Hare Krishna? Second most quoted. So he quoted this a lot. This surrender. Quoting Krishna saying, "Surrender unto me" in the Bhagavad Gita. "I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear." So this idea of surrendering to Krishna obviously was very important in Srila Prabhupada's mind. And yeah, it is important. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. But Prabhupada stressed it because he understood that following his predecessor acharyas, that people need to surrender to Krishna. That's who they are. They are servants of Krishna. And as Prahlad Maharaj says in the 7th canto of the srimadbhagavatam, without surrendering to Krishna, one cannot become happy. So therefore the devotee understanding this, or the preacher devotee understanding this, he said that the preacher devotee understanding this wants to encourage others to surrender to Krishna so they could be happy. And the preacher devotee understands this. And Srila Prabhupada actually, he encouraged devotees. Because there's different levels of devotees. Prabhupada said there's the Kanishta Adhikari, there's the Madhyama Adhikari, there's the Uttama Adhikari. And specifically the Madhyama Adhikari preaches. That's one of the things he does. And so Srila Prabhupada, he actually encouraged devotees to do that, to be on the Madhyama Adhikari platform, to preach to others. And he said that, of course, quoting the verse from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam about the Madhyama Adhikari, that the Madhyama Adhikari, the devotee, they give their affection to Krishna, their love and devotion to Krishna. They make friendships with devotees. They preach to the innocent, and they avoid the envious. So Prabhupada's, in a lecture I was listening to recently on the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said that devotees, he said, of course, Prabhupada understood that deity worship is important. But Prabhupada said that, okay, worshiping the deity, ringing the bell, offering the incense, doing all that, he said that's fine. That's good. But he said that it cannot stop there. Devotees have to develop a desire to preach. And doing puja, he was explaining this, doing puja should purify one to the degree so that they have a desire to preach. So, in other words, it's supposed to inspire preaching, one doing puja. And he was encouraging that that should happen. If it doesn't happen, it's a problem. So we have to analyze our. Do we have a desire to preach? Do we have a desire to spread Krishna consciousness? So we should, over time, more and more and more and more. So a lot of the different qualities that we find in a devotee, for example, there's the 26 qualities of a devotee. I believe Satsvarup Das Goswami, I'm not sure, but I know he has a book, The 26 Qualities of a Devotee, and I believe that he analyzes all these qualities in relation to Prabhupada. But maybe I'm wrong. Okay. So numerous Vyasa Puja offerings that have done that. So all these good qualities that we find in a devotee, we could relate them to Srila Prabhupada's life. And of course, out of the 26 qualities of the devotee, it says that the most important quality is this quality of surrender to Krishna. So there's many other qualities that are good, but this is the most important. So Srila Prabhupada very wonderfully demonstrated this quality of surrender to Krishna in that he was willing to do whatever Krishna wanted for the spreading of Krishna consciousness, and in general, whatever Krishna wanted, Srila Prabhupada was willing to do. He's a pure devotee. And because he was surrendered to to his spiritual master, and he was surrendered to Krishna, he was really effective. Prabhupada was super effective in his endeavors. So anyways, recently a few days ago, it was the day that Prabhupada boarded the Jaladuta to come to America. So I thought we would just read a little bit about that. Yesterday. I thought it was Thursday. I thought we'd just read a little bit about that. This is from Swami in a Strange Land, from Yogeshwar or Joshua Green, Prabhupada disciple. All right, so this is chapter 4, and he quotes Joshua Green, Yogeshwar Prabhu. He quotes Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, "I am victory and adventure." Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 10:36. So it's entitled "On Board the Jaladuta, August 1965." So yeah, he got onto the Jaladuta coming to America, and said the first heart attack occurred just days after the Jaladuta left port. The sea messenger crossed the Bay of Bengal, sailed out into the Indian Ocean, and from there into a foreboding Arabian Sea, where high waves buffeted the 13,000-ton vessel. From the moment the Jaladuta left port, the Swami kept a diary. The entry on August 24th noted, this is what he said, rain, seasickness, dizziness, headache, no appetite, vomiting. At the height of the storm, a jolt of pain exploded in his heart, and his legs gave way. He staggered back to his bunk where he collapsed, shivering with fever. He put his right hand in a cloth bag that held his prayer beads and turned the wooden beads between first and third fingers, reciting the Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A second heart attack struck 3 days later. The pages of his diary for the following week were blank. He went without food and had no energy to write. Darkness at sea brought a brittle cold, and the Swami wrapped himself in a regulation steamship company blanket. When the pain in his chest finally began to abate, he slept. In his diary, he wrote that Krishna appeared in a dream, rowing him in a boat toward a distant shore. Over the next week, the storm dissipated. Sunlight emerged from behind dark clouds, and the waters calmed. The Jaladuta steamed into the Atlantic Ocean under clear skies and a crisp breeze. On August 31st, the Swami wrote in his diary, passed over a great crisis in the struggle for life and death. This was hurricane season, yet there were no waves. The Atlantic was smooth as glass, placid as a lake, the crew whispered. Their passenger was no ordinary sadhu. And then the captain said, this kind of quiet Atlantic I'd never seen in my life. And then Prabhupada said, it is only by Krishna's mercy. Thinking that if there had been a third heart attack, he would surely have died, period. There was no choice now but to continue on to whatever Krishna was planning. His guru had inspired him to become a warrior like Arjuna, the hero of India's sacred text Bhagavad Gita. If the Swami was going to die, better to die on the battlefield. So he reached into his small battered suitcase and pulled out an edge-worn copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 17th century biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's reading that. Then 36 days later, after traveling 12,000 miles, the Jaladuta arrived at Boston Harbor. The Coast Guard saluted the crew as they disembarked. Sailors unloaded cargo, and the following day the ship departed for New York. At noon on September 18th, 1965, Swamiji stared out at skyscrapers lining the horizon like giant concrete teeth, took out his pen and composed a poem in his native Bengali. My dear Lord Krishna, he wrote, I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place? Now it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. I am just like a puppet in your hands, so if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. On the morning of September 19th, he dressed in a saffron-colored dhoti and put on white rubber shoes. He packed his small bag and said goodbye to the captain and crew and thanked them for their hospitality. Then he arranged for the 200 sets of his 3-volume Bhagavatams to be stored in a Scindia warehouse. If somehow he were able to sell a few copies, he would use the money to cover expenses for however long he stayed in America. Then he picked up his tiny suitcase and bag of cereal and tucked his umbrella under his arm. Holding the railing as firmly as his recovering muscles would allow, he descended the gangplank, stepped off the Jaladuta, and walked into the future. So, of course, devotees have heard this many times, what Prabhupada did and how he came, and devotees tell it in different ways, and still devotees should always be inspired by hearing this information because it's about Prabhupada. And aside from that, we do so many things over and over and over and over again. We chant Hare Krishna over and over again. We do so many things over and over again. So the idea is it's supposed to be giving us new and newer inspiration. So So yes, we've heard this many times, and I'm sure we'll hear it many times in the future. But here it is, he is making the point, Yogeshwar is making the point that Prabhupada, his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, inspired him to become like a warrior, like Arjuna, the hero of India's sacred text Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is thinking, okay, if I'm going to die, better let me die on the battlefield, like a warrior. So this was Prabhupada's mood coming to America. Better let me die on the battlefield. And then getting close to the you could say the final or the latter pastimes of his life, or the final years of his life in this world. Srila Prabhupada, or the final months specifically, Srila Prabhupada was also in the same mood. He was there in Vrindavan, and somehow or other he left Vrindavan and he was making his way to America. He stopped off in London, and he was going to come to Gitanagari, Pennsylvania, farm community. He didn't make it though. He went back to Vrindavan. But his idea was that, let me be like Arjuna. Let me be a warrior, and let me die on the battlefield. It doesn't really matter. And Prabhupada, just as he didn't have the sentiment that he had to die or leave his body in Vrindavan, and the proof of that is that he left Vrindavan when he was an elderly man to come to America. But similarly, in many ways, Srila Prabhupada didn't have the sentiment of dying and leaving his body in Vrindavan also in his last months, because he left Vrindavan. He's coming to America, London, and Prabhupada even said, oh, if I pass away in New York, you could bury me on the roof. That's what Prabhupada said. And the reason he gave, he says there's no grass anywhere else. Anyways, so this is surrender. Now, we may not have to do, you could say, exactly. Of course, who could do exactly what Prabhupada did? But we may have to do a similar thing that Prabhupada did. We could try that. We could ship someone off to a foreign country with one of the brahmacharis or whoever. But we may not do that. But in our own way, we should surrender. So we should surrender to our sadhana, to our spiritual practices. We should surrender to our spiritual master. We should surrender to the preaching of the Hare Krishna movement. So in our own way, there's so many things we can do to surrender, and we should. And every day is another opportunity to surrender, because we have an option. Okay, am I going to turn off the alarm clock and go back to sleep, or am I going to wake up and go to the morning program? Or am I going to try to chant attentive rounds, or am I going to not care and just whatever, just chant? Am I going to, read Bhagavad Gita, or am I going to whatever, do this or do that? There's millions of things we could do. That is absolutely nonsense. So every day is an opportunity to surrender, and the more we surrender to Krishna, the more we'll be happy, and the more we'll be successful. And the more we don't surrender to Krishna, the more we just prolong our visit in this material world, prolong our stay in this material world, which is not good, actually. There are many bad things in this world. Cancer and death and disease and so many horrible things that may strike us at any moment. So it's not a very good place. And in relation to surrendering, I mean, everybody's surrendering. people are surrendering in so many ways. I mean, people join a corporation and they surrender their lives to that corporation, practically speaking. I mean, they spend all their time, more or less, more than less, and trying to build up that corporation, trying to, whatever, reach the top, whatever they're trying to make money. They spend so much of their life doing that. People surrender in relationships, of different relationships. People surrender into, taking care of their pets. There's nothing in this world besides people just surrender. People surrendering to their senses, yielding to their senses all the time. People surrendering to their lust. I mean, just go downtown SanDiego. I mean, what are all those people doing? And Friday night, they're all just surrendering to their lust, practically speaking. Different forms of material desires. Like David Vrutta was saying last night, he said, it was pretty challenging distributing books out there. But still, we met some nice people and they got some books. But David Vrutta was saying that people don't come downtown on a Friday night looking for enlightenment. It's not like they're like searching for enlightenment. They're searching for, the opposite. So people are surrendering all the time, and we should try to be careful because sometimes if we yield too much to the illusory energy overcomes us, and sometimes overcomes us for a very long time, like months, years, lifetimes. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that this all-devouring sinful enemy, lust, covers one's knowledge. So it says that there's a particular point in which the material desire covers one's consciousness to such a degree that they actually forget spiritual desires. They forget their spiritual desires. Their desire for spiritual knowledge is destroyed, and they just can become completely covered over. So, of course, that may not happen. Hopefully not, but it does happen. It happens all the time. So we have to be careful. Just like all these people downtown. I mean, so many of them. I mean, I don't know all of them, but so many people in this world, their consciousness becomes so covered that they just don't have the ability to really do anything good for themselves spiritually. They just don't have the ability. They're too covered. To be careful about that. And I was going to say one last thing about that to be a devotee means we have to change our consciousness. I mean, we have to change our consciousness. I mean, the biggest, worst, some of the most sinful people in this world, actually, are in the garb of religious people. Now, I'm not, pointing names or, talking about any particular group or religion or anything like that. But it is a fact that, Srila Prabhupada would call these people out all the time. These rascals and fools, and he saw so many names to them. Cheaters. So in other words, they're not following the principles of religion, but they're claiming to be religious persons. So this goes to show us that simply an external change of our dress or our appearance or even where we live. Prabhupada said that, Vrindavan, he said Vrindavan's full of Mayavadis. He said that. So you would think that there wouldn't be full of Mayavadis. Of course, there's so many devotees there too, but it's a mix-up. So just simply changing externals is not good enough. Of course, it helps. It's good. To wear tulsi is very auspicious. Tilak, to dress in a certain way, very auspicious, very good. But really, we have to change our consciousness. That's what it means to be a devotee, to change our consciousness. that we give up our desires for gratifying our own senses, and we develop our desires to gratify Krishna's senses, and that's a definition of prema. So, just like you see a young guy, and whatever, he goes to the local flower store and picks up flowers. I saw a guy downtown last night. He was walking with a bouquet of roses and whatever. He's probably bringing it to his girlfriend or something. And even if he wasn't, that happens all over the world. So the guy's thinking that he sees these roses and he's thinking, oh, great. I'll bring these to my girlfriend, and this way I'll whatever. Pacify her or woo her, So in other words, it's just another, expression of false ego and, selfishness and all that. But devotees, they see flowers and they say, oh, great, look at these wonderful flowers. I'm going to bring them and I'm going to offer to Krishna. I'm going to decorate Krishna with these flowers. And the devotee sees the whole world like that. He or she sees the whole world like that. That all the money, all the opulence, everything, all these things in this world can all be brought to the lotus feet of Krishna, engaged in his service. So that's what it means to be a devotee, to change our consciousness that this world is not created for us just to, be here and just whatever, have a good time and satisfy our material desires and our senses. But really, a devotee sees the world, it's an opportunity for service, to bring everything to Krishna. So that's a very important part of surrender. So first, we have to surrender to the process of sadhana bhakti, of Krishna consciousness, and then our ability to surrender to Krishna becomes more and more a real thing. I mean, a conditioned soul can't just, generally speaking, just up and surrender to Krishna. They have to practice, they have to purify their consciousness, they have to really work on surrendering to Krishna. And then they could come to the point of surrendering to Krishna. So there's a lot of work to be done before one could actually come to the point of surrendering to Krishna. So we should be enthusiastic to do that. So does anyone have any questions or comments? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just a quick one. Why does Krishna let the living entity be covered? You were talking about, so many things. We have to be cautious with it. So I'm trying to serve Krishna, and, I'm a conditioned soul, so naturally I'm inclined towards material nature. Why does Krishna let that happen? Why? Why this cat and mouse business? Why doesn't he just... I at one point in time sincerely wanted to serve him, so just... Why lure me into illusion? Or let me fall?
Well, sometimes the example that is brought up is that Prabhupada was given a talk, it was London, and he was saying, in essence, that he can't fall down. And then one devotee, then afterwards, but he was saying you can, but then afterwards he was praying to the deities, and then the devotee said, oh, Prabhupada, what are you praying for? Prabhupada said, oh, well, I'm praying to Krishna that I won't fall down. And then devotee... Yeah. Yeah. Praying to Radharani that it won't fall down. And then devotee said, oh, Prabhupada, I thought you can't fall down. He said, well, I can't fall down because I'm always praying that it won't fall down. So he always feels himself helpless, meek, humble, helpless, in that he feels he needs the protection of Krishna. So Krishna is very eager to give him the protection that he needs, and he feels he needs. So if one doesn't feel that they need the protection, then it's kind of like, okay, well, I mean, what do we expect? How much protection can one get if, they feel they don't need it? And yeah, Krishna allows souls to go off into left field because, of course, there's the idea of the free will. We have to have free will. Without free will, there's no real question of love, right? Like Prabhupada said one time in a talk, Krishna doesn't put a revolver to you and say, please love me, because that's not real love. And everybody understands that no one really operates that in this world, unless they're unhealthy, they start doing stuff like that. So yeah, but every soul has their lessons to learn. I mean, sometimes it takes people a long, long time to learn certain things, and but the idea is that hopefully over time, after being burned so many times and having so many difficulties and just being beat up by Maya, that that we will realize, or the soul will realize, that hey, this isn't working. So I need to be dependent on Krishna. So, but also therefore that's why Krishna, it's not just Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. It's also the devotees, because the devotees are also.
So I can't blame Krishna?
Well, we could blame the devotees too. Because Krishna sets it up in such a way that a lot of we could say of our care or protection is actually coming from devotees as well, not just Krishna. In the sense that sometimes if somebody's going whatever they're going into illusion, the devotees could stop them and say, hey, what are you doing? I don't think this is a good idea. Krishna may not walk on the door and tell us that. But devotees will tell us that. If they're our friends and kind and all that, they will tell us that. So that's important too, to keep in the association of devotees. So when we do go into illusion or possible illusion, we're kind of going towards illusion, they could say, hey, and drag us back. So, just like Borijan Prabhu, he writes in the book, My Glorious Master. Anyways, he goes into all these different things about what he was doing that wasn't really up to standard, but he was justifying it in his mind. Like he wasn't offering his food properly, he wasn't really having a morning program, he's doing so many things like that. And then Prabhupada came to Hong Kong, and Prabhupada was very strong with him. Like on so many cases, in so many ways he was strong. And then he said, "Oh, you're not having a morning program." He said, "Oh, whose disciple are you?" He told. And then he said, and then there's a conference, a bunch of people were there, and then Prabhupada said, "Oh, can you give me a Bhagavad Gita?" He told Borijan Prabhu, "Can you give me Bhagavad?" And Borijan Prabhu realized, "Oh, I don't have a Bhagavad Gita." And he went up to Prabhupada, "Oh, sorry, I don't have a Bhagavad Gita." And then Prabhupada said, "Oh, what do you have? Just your face, your smiling face? Is that good enough?" So in so many ways, he was just really chiding him over and over, like on numerous. And but before Srila Prabhupada came to Hong Kong, before he went there, Borijan Prabhu heard this many years later, that Prabhupada was talking with one of his disciples, and Prabhupada told one of his disciples, "Yes, I'm going to Hong Kong just because Borijan's in Maya, and I'm going there to save him." That's what he said. So, anyways, that's a good thing. So, does anyone have any other?
I had a quick comment just
comment
on the nice answer. Prabhupada tells us about the living entity and why does Krishna let the living entity. Actually, we shouldn't blame Krishna. Prabhupada gave an example that his son Vrindavan was a real rascal, but always was in mischievous. One of Prabhupada's friends even put him on Prabhupada's chemical business. They have all the racks, and put him on one of the racks where he couldn't get down, just so he couldn't get into trouble. So the kid wanted to put his touch the fan. He wanted to see the fan. And everyone was saying, don't do it. And he just wanted to do it. So Prabhupada pulled the plug so the thing slowed down enough that it wouldn't hurt him. But still it was turning, and the boy, tung, and it scared him, and he never did it again.
Yeah.
So on one hand, Krishna arranges this world. We can try to work it out, and like you say, we get, finally the light goes on after getting burned enough time. But it's all just like a flash in the pan. It's very, very quick, actually. And we don't really get hurt. It's like we're children. Krishna says, all right, and slows it down enough that we won't get hurt, but bang, we learn our lesson. So just adding on to what you said.
Yes. All right. Jai. Srimadbhagavatam ki jai.